Parts of an expression. We're going to identify parts. It's really important that you know the terminology. That means like the vocabulary and the names of algebra, because you'll encounter a lot of situations where you've got to know exactly what it is. And so let's make sure that you've got these clear. The main terminology used in this is up here at the top. Coefficient, that's the 3. When you've got a variable term, it's the number. Constant, when you have a term that is only a number and nothing else. Variable, that's just the letter. Variable term, that's when you have a whole term with a variable in it. You might also have an exponent there. The exponent is the teeny little number that tells how many times you're multiplying something. So these are the main terms that you're going to work on. And there will be times when you've got to write these words as your answers. Often it will tell you to identify the coefficient, so you'll be writing numbers from here or variables or whatever. You'll be writing parts of these expressions. But there will also be times when it says, what is this? And then you'll have to write one of these words. So if you think it would help you to write these down, go ahead and do that. And so with that done, let's go ahead and do some samples together. I am going to use samples from the card 11 through 20. We'll do 11 through 15 and then 20. I feel like it gives us a nice broad range of everything that's in here. So let's begin with number 11. Identify the exponents. I really hope, if you've been learning with me this long, that you know what exponents are, but just in case, the exponents are the little 6 and the little 3. The 6 says that you're multiplying g 6 times. The little 3 says you're multiplying m 3 times. Those are the exponents. 6 and 3. Number 12, name the underlined part. I have the 3 and the r are underlined. That is a term. It's called a variable term because it has a variable in it. So we'll write variable term. Number 13, name the underlined part. Now we have just the W underlined, not the 7. It's not the whole term. It's just the W. W all by itself is the variable. Number 14, identify the terms. So all the terms are the things that are added or subtracted. And they just, they distinctly stand apart by the addition symbols. You can also have subtraction, but anyhow, so I will make a list of all of these. So we have 82b, I'm going to put a comma between each of them to separate them. 3u squared, kind of big comma, maybe a little bigger than it should be. I might erase that. 7, 41h, and 54. I'm going to make this comma a little bit smaller. It could pass for a J, it's so big. There. Okay, so those are our terms. Number 15, identify the coefficients. I chose this one specifically because you've got one variable with no number in front of it. So you have a choice on that one. You can either say it has a coefficient of 1, which it does, or you can say it has no coefficient because there's nothing written there. So it's up to you, because in algebra, remember, anytime there is a number implied but not written, you know it's the number 1. Just like if there's ever an operation between two things and it's not written, then you know it's a multiplication. So you can write 1 if you want, because it's understood that the coefficient is 1. You could choose not to write it because it's not written there. I'll go ahead and write it, but it's really optional. 1y, 9r, so it's 9 is a coefficient, 2g, and then 2. And really, the most important thing is that you understand that it's understood that there's a 1 coefficient. That's the most important thing. Whether or not you choose to write it here doesn't matter to me, but whether or not you know that there's a 1 there, that's what matters. Number 20. Name the underlined part. We have 17h to the 7th power. That is a variable term. Anytime you have a term that has a variable in it, it is a variable term. And it doesn't matter what else is in it. If it has a variable, it's a variable term. And so all of them are more or less the same as these, but it's really good practice to go over this vocabulary and apply it to these expressions and make sure that you understand it. I think it's not intended to be difficult. I think it's intended to be a good practice and a good review to reinforce so that your understanding and your memory of these sticks.